Good morning, everyone. It's February 28th. This is the birthday of our son, Jean-Paul Lafayette Clouseau DuQuette. And
He picked the Clouseau.
he picked the Clouseau.
That's his confirmation name.
That's his confirmation name. But we were so poor when he was, what did he do? Turned
I don't know. It was
7 or something like
It
that.
wasn't that. It was younger than that. It was more like 5 or
Okay.
4, more like 5.
We didn't really have too much money to buy him presents, so we got him up. Uh, he's still in his pajamas, and we brought him out in the living room and said happy birthday and everything else. And I had my Masonic sword, and I pulled my sword out.
This is when his name was Jean-Paul DuQuette, because
Right.
at the hospital, well, we didn't have a middle name for him, and he got by so far without it.
So his first name is Jean-Paul. Okay.
Yeah. Paul is not his middle name.
Right.
So he didn't have a middle name. His name was Jean-Paul DuQuette until he was 5, and then we gave him a birthday present of a middle name. And this is just, yeah.
So we named him Lafayette,
Well,
his middle name.
Lon got him out and had him on his knees in his pajamas with Lon's sword, and
I pronounce you, or I dubbed thee.
I think he dubbed him or something. Anyway, it was a really nice little 1-minute ceremony for a 5-year-old. We did the best we could.
Yes.
Okay. I think
No other kid gets stuff like that.
I think you
Okay.
picked your parents. I think I picked my parents, so I don't think, so. He had other presents too, by the way, because he had 2 grandma and grandpa, and yes.
He was the only grandchild on both sides of the
So
family.
he was
Yeah.
very lucky. We were very lucky, otherwise we would have been really up a creek without their help.
And so he is teaching at a university in Macau, China. So he technically celebrated his birthday on the 28th there, which was the 27th here.
So anyway, the reason I'm talking this morning is I have a very wet head and I'm shivering and cold because I washed my hair in the kitchen sink like really strange old
Can
grandma.
I show them?
Only I have no.
It looks like a turban. It's so, it's so
anyway,
cool. Go on.
Did you want me to talk or not?
Yes.
I've forgotten what I was going to say now. I wash my hair in the sink like, grandmas. I don't like taking showers. There's something bad. I have a bad thought about showers. No, I don't like them. So anyway, I wash. And so I came out to thank everyone for so many birthday wishes in many forms. I don't expect so much from so many people who don't even really know me, but and the thing I really appreciate about it is because when you get to be 77, you have less relatives. I had lots of relatives when I was 23 or something, and would get birthday cards from them and birthday wishes, and I love my relatives dearly. And anyway, but lots of them are gone now. I only have one uncle left in Denver, and
Couple cousins.
And his second wife, who I finally got to meet by telephone, and told her that she was going to have to adopt me because I was adopting her because I needed more relatives alive. Anyway, so I'm doing the same thing with all of you because you've taken the place of sending me birthday wishes on my birthday when my relatives aren't on Earth anymore. So I'm adopting all of you, whether you like it or not. Anyway, I just my way of saying I'm very, very grateful and thank you so much for all your good wishes. And it's kind of what we all live on is good wishes. So I'm wishing you everything that I want for myself that I think is good stuff is what I want for all of you too. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, dear. I still I still think they should see you in your turban.
No, they say.
All right. Excuse me. Uh, my morning coffee this morning, Constance made for me in my Ask Babylon cup there, or my Sweet Babylon cup, because I'm not buying anything today. I took a walk down to the coffee shop, but I just sat there and looked at my phone for a little while and turned around and came back because I'm not buying anything today. And I especially, uh, even though our coffee shop is a chain, it's a local chain, I'm sure I wasn't making any big statement by not buying anything there. But I'm especially careful not to buy anything like on Amazon or any big, even though I want you to buy my book, wait till tomorrow. Okay. Uh, uh, or Walmart or something like that. Actually, to make a statement that regular people, uh, the way they spend their money, the way we spend our money, is also a form of a vote, at least to make our opinions made. But anyway, so it's one of those days where I'm just not going to buy anything. And who knows, there may be these days every Friday for a while, or something more in the form of a, dare I say, general strike. But who knows? Anyway, I'm looking very much forward to this early next week and our 3-day Joshua Tree desert retreat of Enochian magic. It's an Enochian magic 3-day intensive in Joshua Tree. It's Joshua Tree is a very mystical place, and I've shared with you a very significant mystical experience in my life that took place in Joshua Tree, and I'm going to share it with you again today. Okay. As a matter of fact, it is the opening prologue to my book, My Life with the Spirits. It was so important, my Joshua Tree experience. It was so important that I considered it the opening salvo of my own autobiography. And this was some years ago when I wrote this. I was still a pretty much young man. This was published in 1999. So I've had a lot of experience between that in my life story and I sort of continue the story in 2 other books, Low Magic and Homemade Magic. Now, Homemade Magic has gone out of print, and I've just been informed that, this morning that I've probably got a new publisher for Homemade Magic. So hang on and don't spend $700 or $800 for a out of print collector's item, Homemade Magic. I think we'll have another one out there pretty soon with a wonderful new publisher. Anyway, I want to share the Joshua Tree experience with you. Once again, I know I've done this quite a few times over the 3.5 years. I've been doing this 7 days a week. And but there may be 1 or 2 of you that haven't heard this. So for you, here we go. It's the prologue of my life with the spirits, and it's called Sons of the Desert. And it starts off, it was 31 years ago this morning, February 26th, well, 2 days ago, okay? But actually, now I could say it was 58 years ago, 2 days ago, February 26th, 1967. I was 18 years old, and my brother Mark was 24. We sat atop one of the monstrous boulders that are heaped like petrified dinosaur droppings across California's Mojave Desert in Joshua Tree, and watched the moon bury itself in the western sands. 180 degrees away, the eastern horizon split in a lewd and blood-red invocation of the sun. Shortly before this celestial orgy, we shared a mystic feast of far too much LSD, and vowed in deadly earnest that we would not return from the wilderness until we were holy men. Daybreak found us shish kebabbed to death, skewered through by the sun and moon's perfect opposition, flat on our backs, emitting short grunts and giggles. It would be an understatement to say we were naive, but we were not entirely green behind the psychedelic ears. Between the two of us, we had at least 24 carefully programmed trips under our belts. In our pitiful way, we were serious seekers. We followed the setting guide procedures outlined by Doctors Leary and Albert, and crammed the days and weeks between our sessions with healthy doses of Eastern mysticism and spiritual practices. In other words, we never did it for recreational purposes. It was always a setting meditational. However pitiful it was done for those reasons. Nothing, however, could have prepared us for Judgment Day at Joshua Tree. By mid-afternoon, we had blithely paddled our souls up the river of our genetic ancestry and stood at the very hub of eternity and stared with wagging jaws down the orbiting spokes of all possible possibilities. It was the most deafening of unspoken truths. We would never leave the desert. Wherever we would go, whatever we would do from that point forward would take place in the desert. Our frenzied hike back to my old VW bus was a stumbling ordeal of Odyssean scale, complete with horrifying labyrinths of dry washes and box canyons, or so it appeared to us in our panic. A blinding sandstorm, and the wind did pick up, and the sadistic laughter of the spirits of our own tormented childhoods. So in other words, we went through a great deal of shared experiences of our own childhoods. I'm digressing here. One most profound episode, and who knows how long we laid there and shared this, was the very clear realization that we were our own great uncles. One of them died within a year or so when my brother was born, and one died within a year or so before I was born. And they were close brothers too. This is on our father's side. And one of them was the private secretary to Hal Roach, the silent film director, producer, filmmaker, Laurel and Hardy, Our Gang, things like that. Uh, and that sort of made sense with some of my crib memories too. So these were pretty deep strata of you could say genetic memory, or you could say reincarnation. Whatever it was profound, awesome, and unmistakably real to us. The 2-hour drive back to Costa Mesa was uneventful except for occasional highway encounters with desert skeletons returning home from church in their pickup trucks. Once home, we immediately sought dark refuge in the smoky coolness of the Buccaneer, the only bar in town that would occasionally ignore the fact that I was a minor and serve me beer. That evening, no one dared question my age. I looked a million years old. The beers didn't help. We were still very high. The zebra-striped walls of the little saloon dripped down to the floor like melting wax, and the pores of the bartender's nose were so big we could walk inside them. Then, from nowhere, I received a revelation. Not a cosmic vision about DNA or the nature of light and time, but a surprisingly normal idea. It became very clear to me that I must marry Constance, my high school sweetheart. That's all there was to it. I converted a few dollars into coins, an act which of torturous complexity that seemed to require many days, and shuffled to the old black payphone near the pinball machine. Even though we were down enough to drive hours back to Costa Mesa, we were still painfully high, okay? And I remember the lights on the pinball machine, you know how they're all very colorful, colored lights in the pinball machine. They took solid form and beamed to the beamed to the ceiling. And I'm not exaggerating. The zebra striped walls of the Buccaneer were melting. Okay, and the pores on the bartender's nose were incredibly big that day. Anyway. I closed one eye and plugged the emptiness of zero with my blue-green fingertip and spun the clicking wheel of fortune. Now, for those of you who are too young to remember, payphones in those days were upright things, and they had a dial, okay, a spinning dial. And zero was the last little hole in the thing. So when I plugged my blue-green finger into zero and spun it, okay, clockwise. Let's see here. I closed one eye and plugged the emptiness of zero with my blue-green fingertip and spun the clicking wheel of fortune. I pleaded with the operator because I couldn't. I wasn't in any shape to do anything but dial zero, okay? I pleaded with the operator to help me place the call to Nebraska. Constance answered. A few moments of attempting to communicate with my hands, I managed to identify myself. She sounded very happy to hear from me. After all, it was her birthday. 27th, okay? Uh, I couldn't believe the cosmic coincidence, but concealed the fact that I didn't have a clue it was her birthday. Then I came out and said it. Would you like to get married? It was the smartest thing I would ever do. After a short pause, she said yes, and that was the stupidest thing she had ever done. We'd been married, well, it says 30 years here now, but it's 57 years. And what about the sons of the desert? Did we really become holy men? After a violent decade of political radicalism, arrests, alcohol and drug abuse, and 2 wives, Brother Mark transformed into the very model of an Eastern ascetic, a Sant Mat devotee, Satsangi of the Radhaswami order. He practices the strict discipline of that august sect, a combination of Hindu yoga and Sikh mysticism. He wears a huge untrimmed beard and travels each year to the Punjab region of northern India to labor and meditate at his master's ashram. Back home, he's a chemical dependence counselor whose clients worship at the altar of his wit and wisdom. He's happily married to a beautiful and saintly woman, one of the most gifted psychics in the world, also a satsangi. Yes, I'd say Mark's a holy man, and I'm very respectful for the spiritual direction his life has taken. I have no doubts that is his way. It certainly rescued him from an early grave, and his conversion made Southern California a less dangerous place to live. My life, on the other hand, has took a dramatically different turn. So different, in fact, that many people, perhaps even my brother, believe my chosen path to be patently evil. It's true, I've scorned and rejected the faith of my fathers. I invoke and worship strange and terrible gods. I summon devils and hold congress with angels, spirits, and demons. But does it naturally follow that these pursuits are spiritual transgressions that bar me from the fellowship of holy ones? In this little book, I search for an answer to that question. Okay, and that's where there's a bit more, but I've read enough for that. That was a prologue to my 1991 autobiography. And I have to say, I believe I've only visited Joshua Tree one time since then. And that was sort of a nocturnal visit with my good friend Leroy Lauer and Sel Heidel, both OTO guys. And, well, we called him the Mad Duck of Thelema, a wonderful, wonderful man that I've since lost touch with. But we went out to Joshua Tree at night, sort of spent the night there looking at the stars, and made a little campfire. And but for all intent and purposes, I haven't. This trip this coming week to Joshua Tree would be my first really visit with spiritual intent in 58 years. So, and there's quite a few people that are going to share that experience with me. I'll try to behave myself. And they better too. And we'll do some Enochian magic. But until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.